All right, YouTube, we're going to jump into our U.S. news, which is pretty related to what we were just covering, but different. And I do have a few climate change, I guess. I did want to start, actually, with this climate change story here. So if you'll excuse the slight subject confusion, I only had one climate change-related article, and I do believe it's more UK-oriented, so please excuse me. But I did feel like it was important to get this in. So welcome, YouTube. Welcome, my 116 subscribers. Let's get into it here with some climate news.
Himalayan downpours in the monsoon. But once more, a familiar tale now in a warming world. This was extreme rainfall. Scores of people reported missing, 14 confirmed killed. An army convoy overcome, and it's feared up to 23 soldiers could be dead.
Oh, man. Is the army going to attack Mother Nature? Look at that, dude. Look at the power of Mother Nature against a man's military. Wow.
Overcome, and it's feared up to 23 soldiers could be dead.
Well, that is really sad. I shouldn't be laughing.
Just last month, Derna in Libya, devastated by a dam burst caused by extreme rainfall, made worse in part by the climate crisis. Now here in northeastern India, a partial dam burst also accelerated these floodwaters.
Wow.
As of now, we have recovered 10 dead bodies. There are 82 missing persons which have been reported, and which includes 23 personnel from army also. We are searching for them and making all efforts to trace them.
A glacial lake burst its banks, also worsening the floods.
A glacial lake. So I assume that's a lake being fed from glacial waters or icebergs, glaciers?
Across the Himalayas, warnings for years now about retreat shrinkage, melting glaciers forming unstable lakes.
Yes.
Climate warming causes widespread retreat shrinkage of glaciers in this region, and retreat shrinkage of glacier leads to formation of glacial lakes. The glacial lakes can burst out and create quite big floods downstream.
Entire mountain shrinkage too. Scientists in Chamonix today announcing Mont Blanc is 2 meters shorter than when they last measured it just 2 years ago. Melting permafrost and glaciers could be the reason, they say. And now the graph that stunned science. From 1941 on the left, the global temperature swings year on year for the month of September. Scientists shocked by data showing this September was by far the biggest heating deviation from average recorded.
And here comes the right-wingers to say that this is all natural. This is all part of a natural cycle. We're all overreacting. And they're going to be saying that until the fucking tidal wave hits New York or hits fucking the UK, right? Hits Britain. Oh, no. New York is technically sinking. Oh, no, it's not happening.
Globally, the world this September, 0.5 degrees Celsius higher than 2020. Might not sound much, but it is an extraordinary leap. In the UK, coming after the September heat wave, if you're in the southeast, prepare for 25 Celsius this weekend. That's around 10 degrees hotter than it should be.
Well, earlier I spoke to Piers Poster, Professor of Physical Climate Change at the University of Leeds and interim chair of the government's Climate Change Committee. I began by asking how he described today's new climate change figures.
Yeah, strategy.
Well, I think it's both extraordinary and really kind of bizarre that we've seen such a huge record broken in the surface temperature. It really is extraordinary.
And just how concerned are you about these figures? Lots of people are saying that it's higher than expected.
Well, I'm kind of torn because the first is I'm a kind of climate kind of scientist by background, and so for me, when I look at this huge change, I get really excited about it. But then as a kind of citizen and with a kind of child, it gives me really huge concern that we've seen the record bust by 0.5 degrees, and that's huge.
When you hear 0.5, lots of people at home might be saying, what does that actually mean? What impact does that actually have? Does it matter? It doesn't sound like that much.
Yeah, well, the first thing to say that this is a record broken for the average Earth's kind of surface temperature. So quite often when you see a record broken in one country, that it isn't everywhere. And often when the average surface temperature is broken, we're talking about being broken by a kind of hundredth of a degree or something tiny. But this is 0.5 degrees, so this is kind of 500 times as big as what we might expect.
Just Stop Oil got in the way of a performance yesterday at Les Miserables. Is their reaction proportionate, do you think, to what the situation is right now?
I'm not at all in favour of their actions. But I think as a citizen of the country, of course, we're concerned when we see the impact of climate change. They're not only occurring here, they're occurring everywhere. And we all have a responsibility, but we also have to bring the country with us. This is a job for everyone to do, and we all have to be on this decarbonisation journey.
Professor Piers Foster, thank you very much for coming in. Good to speak to you.
Okay, Cheers for your time. Thank you.
I might have. Someone's stroking, I can tell you that. No, that was great. So there you go. That was a little climate update. Moving on to our next story here. Now we're moving on into the U.S. news. So I don't know. I guess the relations between the United States and I'm rapidly approaching your current location. Okay. Totally normal chat. Totally normal thing to say in the chat room there on a news channel. But no, I guess America is going to have some Turkey and America are going to have a long conversation here. An American F-16 fighter jet just shot down a Turkish Anika S drone over Syria after it was deemed a threat to U.S. forces in the area. Oh, I got the wheat. The drone had earlier bombed SDF Kurdish positions. This is the first time ever that the U.S. shoots down a Turkish aircraft. So they're using the excuse that we're worried about our safety. You know, we're worried about the safety of U.S. troops. They're not worried about the safety of U.S. troops. The Turkey had no plans of attacking, but they're sick and tired of Turkey and the Kurds. You know, never find it. Turkey's not interested in a resolution that isn't destroy all the Kurds and vice versa. So they're getting sick of it, and I think this is them trying to say you're going to end this conflict, Erdogan. We're going to figure out a settlement, or we're going to start, doing more shit like this. Because apparently, Allah. There you go. Turkey's doing horrendous atrocities to the Kurds. Yes, and it's been going on way too fucking long. But the problem is that Turkey is really important geopolitically, and you can't just ignore Turkey. You can't, they're, especially with what's happening in Ukraine with Putin. It's a very delicate balance right now. So the U.S. is really sticking its neck out here, but. Hey, greetings from South Boston. It's your boy. It's your boy and number one financial contributor to the stream, Lenny. Go Sox. Welcome back, Lenny. Okay, so this is interesting. This post was deleted. I don't know why, but it was about these new. I just wanted to show this. I don't know if I have an opinion about this. I think Lenny was recently in New York. Wow, really? Dirty crackhead. That's shocking. That's really shocking. But I don't know. What's your opinion on this? Did you see any of these police robots in the subway there? So these things don't have guns. It's a waste of taxpayer money, huh? They don't have cops. Look, we have to accept the reality. Cops can't be everywhere. We don't want cops everywhere. But there are public places where sometimes it's nice to have a police presence, especially if you're a woman. You know, if you're screaming bloody murder and no one's there to hear you, and human beings are also cowards. Human beings are also cowards. So if they hear a woman screaming bloody murder, are they going to help her? I can see a lot of these things being spray painted over a lot. Yeah, definitely. Totally. So yeah, they're going to use robots midnight to 6 a.m. So I don't know how I feel about them. Okay? I really don't know how I feel about this, because I do want people to be safe, especially women. And like, look, I don't know if you've ever been to the New York City subway system, but it's a catacomb. People have drowned in the subway system because it can flood. It goes down several levels. You could very easily be a woman late at night, victimized, and no one hears you. You know, no one will hear you scream. And you don't have pepper spray, and they've already gotten you, so you can't hit the panic button. You know, you can't hit the panic button, right? So I don't know how I feel. I don't know how I feel. We'll see. I don't know their capabilities either. Are they just, you know, just cameras and microphones? Obviously, there's no guns. So I don't know. I don't know how I feel on it yet. Wait and see. I just wanted to know what your opinion was, really, more than anything. The chat. All right, moving on to our next story. Woo! Alabama gets new congressional map that could yield Democrats a second seat in the state. So I'm not going to bloviate too much on this. We just got done covering the fascists and their takeover of U.S. democracy. But this is how they're doing it: gerrymandering. Changing the way you could vote, changing the way votes are counted, etc., etc. Moving camera with audio, lights, and alarm. Yeah, exactly. So that's what I mean. Like, we kind of already have all these things. It's just now it's on wheels. So, long story short, Alabama's Supreme Court, I believe, and I believe it's a right-wing Supreme Court, but they just could not find a way to justify the blatant racism of what was being done in Alabama, where black communities were being marginalized to the point where they get one representative, even though that they're making up a much larger chunk of the state and would normally have more than one representative. So here, I'll read a little bit of this here. It's a federal court, not the Supreme Court. A federal court on Thursday approved a new congressional map in Alabama that significantly boosts the black population of a second district and could represent a pickup opportunity for Democrats in next year's elections. Basically, a brand new seat, a whole new seat. The action by the three-judge panel, along with the outcomes of several other closely watched redistricting cases around the country, could help determine which party controls the U.S. House of Representatives after 2024. Republicans currently have a narrow majority in the chamber. The court's decision to pick a map that creates a district in a southeastern swath of Alabama with a 48.7% black voting age population also concludes this phase of a legal saga that saw the U.S. Supreme Court affirm a key part of the Voting Rights Act, a landmark civil rights law that has been chipped away by conservative justices in recent years and will continue to be so if we continue to vote for them. So here's what the new map looks like. So I think this is is this the one here? This is the previous map. This is the previous map, and then here's the new map. So okay. So you see how they do that, right? So we got all these, black folks not being represented properly. And then there you go. That's how they changed it to make it. I mean, honestly, I think the idea of congressional maps should be removed. I think we need a whole new system, or that they need to be drawn up There needs to be a completely independent federal body that is doing this, that the left and the right parties have no influence with, and they just say, okay, just stone cold, we looked at the demographics and this is what the congressional maps look like. Having the state being able to modify its own congressional maps has been a massive failure for democracy and representation in America. So I do think something needs to change. Anyway, if you want more information about this, it's right here. Just another example of what I'm talking about. The conservatives are absolutely mask off assaulting our democracy. All right, moving on. News story, more news! September sizzled to records that was so much warmer than average scientists call it mind-blowing. So I guess I should have lined this up a little better with my other climate story, but news! Just more proof that it's real, it's happening. Yes, and it's gonna be so expensive, it'll make you fucking nuts drop, boys. It'll make your voice lower a couple tones. I'm talking trillions with a capital T. Trillions of dollars to fix this. And yeah, guess what? Some of that money isn't gonna come back as profit. Capitalists. You know? We have to accept that this is going to be very expensive, and not everybody's going to get rich fixing it. So I won't get into the details here. If you want all the details, climate change is real, and it's absolutely fucking happening. Oh, well, some right-wing guy said that's not the case. Yeah, well, I have scientists. Oh, the scientists are deep state. Okay, well then fuck you. Then there's just nothing's real for you, and there's no such thing as reality. So just enjoy the lap of luxury while you can. Right, living in the #1 country, living in a democracy that's on a razor thin hair. Enjoy it while it lasts. If you want to deny this stuff, if you want to deny what's happening. Yeah, exactly, Chem Goblin, you know. Wanted to give some props to your boys over there, Status Coup. We got Ron Placone on the street, man on the street interviews. He's got the big stick. So yeah, we're talking about unions right now. News story. Haven't done it. There we go. News story. We're talking about unions now. Want to give props to your boy Ron Placone out here. For doing the work that CNN should be doing the work that MSNBC should be doing, while Morning Joe is spending 6+ hours talking about Trump. They could send Willie out to actually do some real journalism, but they don't. Could you imagine Willie doing some real journalism? I couldn't. So let's go ahead and get a Ron Placone Status Coup UAW interview. He's on the ground, folks. Where's CNN? Where are you, Wolf Blitzer? Where are you? And by the way, where are the right wingers? All right, so let's get into it.
Please, if you are able, statuscoup.com/join. Does anyone else want to talk to us? Do we got some? Let's see if we can get a hat guy. All right. All right.
Yeah, good for Ron Placone.
Excuse me, sir.
Good for Ron Placone to separate himself from Jimmy Dore and stick to what's really important. So big props. Big props. Second round. Somebody hasn't pooped today. Somebody hasn't pooped today. Somebody hasn't pooped today. This is my son, Zaphoid Beeblebrox, everybody. Zaphoid Beeblebrox. Hey. All right, buddy. All right, so let's get this man on the street interview here while I feed my son.
Sir, could we interview you? Could we interview you? We're Status Coup.
A few weeks ago.
Oh, yeah. You want to do it again? You didn't do it with me.
Okay.
I'm Ron.
I'm Ron. Okay, I'm Gary.
Hey, Gary. Good to meet you, my friend. Thank you. Well, thanks for joining us again. Right here? Oh, okay. So I'm here live
Fuck
with
it, let's
Gary.
do it live.
And Gary spoke to us a few weeks ago, but Gary is back. Gary, how's your reaction to the live stream today? Did you get to catch all of Sean's live stream? How did you feel?
Well, I mean, the fight continues. It's not an easy fight. I mean, honestly, I think it should be a bigger fight because I think it would be stronger if everybody was involved at all the three companies. But as it is, we got to carry on the fight because it's the only way workers are going to get something out of this contract and get what they deserve. It's going to take a fight, and that's what this is about.
So one of the big pieces today was they were like, hey, all the EV plants are going to be union. They expected more of a fight on that. They did get it. Was that a win to you? Were you kind of happy about that, surprised by it? What was your reaction there?
Well, I think the real issue, yes, union recognition is the first thing, of course. But then there's what are the wages going to be in the battery plants, and even if these jobs can be available for workers who might lose a job at an engine or transmission plant, because you still have to have transfer rights. And number two, other plants even can be built near where workers get laid off at. So there's a lot of questions. So union recognition is only the first step.
So as this has gone on and it's day 22 and you've been here for a while, how do you feel we're going in the right direction, and how close do you think we are to the finish line?
It's hard to say.
Good
It's
question.
pretty hard to say. But the companies are, they got a lot of money behind them too. That's why I think for the workers, it really have to, in my opinion, have to use all their power we got right now as workers. And if that means striking all three companies 100%, that's what it should take.
Do you think that's what it's going to take?
Yes, I think so. I think that'd be at least a starting point. Yes, for sure.
So how long have you been with the UAW?
Well, actually, I'm retired.
Okay. All right. So there you go. I just wanted to do a man on the street interview. I mean, Ron's out here, beating the street, doing the hard work. Once again, I just can't tell you how important this is. Okay. Wow. All right. Wow. Isn't it crazy how these anti-Semites just freely parade around Twitch? Just anti. Can you imagine your all these children hanging out with all these anti-Semites all over Twitch, just going from channel to channel, spreading their hatred at every opportunity? Finding even the most obscure. I have 10 viewers, and they're like, "Yep, got to come in here and spread my right-wing propaganda." Right? Can you imagine all the children that are interacting with all these individuals, right? Twitch, what are you doing? I thought Twitch cared about moderation, I thought they cared about making, a space that is safe from hatred and racism and anti-Semitism. That's not the case. That is not the case on Twitch. That person that I just banned, Chem Goblin, they're just literally everywhere, everywhere. All right, so good job, Ron Placone. And I wanted to show this here. This is great. New UAW chief. So this is the New York Times. When did Twitch care about those things? Well, they claim to care about those things. But this is great. New York Times out here with a hit piece on the UAW. Non-negotiable. Here's a non-negotiable demand. Eat the rich. Oh no! Sean Fain's disdain for the billionaire class informs his shutdown of Detroit's automakers. Now he must prove that his hardcore tactics pay off. He better prove it. And then this is what Sean Fain does. He does a press conference wearing an Eat the Rich shirt. Yeah! Yeah! That's what I'm talking about. That's what I'm talking about. Who was the politician that says I welcome? Was it FDR that says I welcome the disdain of the bankers? I welcome their hatred. I believe that's what FDR said. Oh, buddy. I know. He's like bloviating on FDR. Get me out of here. Okay, so here, watch this interview here. Here we go. We're not going to watch the whole thing, but I just had to show it.
Good afternoon, UAW family. It's happened again. Moments before this broadcast, we have had a major breakthrough that has not only dramatically changed negotiations, but it's going to change the future of our union and the future of our industry. We were about to shut down GM's largest moneymaker in Arlington, Texas. The company knew those members were ready to walk immediately.
Damn right.
And just that threat has provided a transformative win. GM has now agreed in writing to place their electric battery manufacturing under our National Master Agreement. We've been told for months that this is impossible.
Oh, impossible. We're going
We've
to
been
run
told
out of
the
money.
EV future must be a race to the bottom.
Yeah.
And now we've called their bluff. What this will mean for our membership
Sam Cedar.
cannot be understated. The plan was to draw down engine and transmission plants and permanently replace them with low-wage battery jobs. We had a different plan, and our plan is winning at GM. And we expect it to win at Ford.
Oh, well, Sam Cedar's an incredibly successful left-wing journalist, I guess, maybe. Talking head, maybe. Yeah. Sam Cedar's, you know, I don't agree with him on everything, but you know, nice guy. Nice guy. I'd do an interview with Sam Cedar.
And Stellantis as well. So today, we're going to give you some updates on the state of bargaining. If it wasn't clear already, things move fast.
Mm-hmm.
It's hard to give an update that won't be obsolete by the time the update's done. So here's a snapshot and a punchline. Here's the snapshot. GM has been falling behind. Today, under the threat of a major financial hit, they leapfrogged the pack in terms of a just transition. And here's the punchline. Our strike is working, but we're not there yet. Everything we've done to this point has been with one goal in mind: to win a record contract that reflects the Big Three's record profits and the historic sacrifices our members have made to generate those profits.
Nice.
We've been very public about our demands and about our expectations and about our priorities. Everybody and their brother knows that we've been fighting for economic justice, for a just transition, for cost of living allowance, for meaningful wage increases, for retirement security, to end tiers, and to win work-life balance and more. I wish I were here to announce a tentative agreement at one or more of these companies, but I do want to be really clear. We are making significant progress. In just 3 weeks,
Keep it up, dude.
we have
Keep it
moved these
up.
companies further than anyone thought was possible.
No, exactly.
So
Exactly.
let's take a
And all you had to do was just stand your ground. And this, you know, a lot of unions have problems with corruption in their own ranks. You know, and I'm not saying I'm not saying this Sean Fain guy is perfect. I don't know as much about him as I should, but he's certainly saying the right things. This is a massive difference from unions and how they used to speak about politicians in the past. And honestly, it's because things have gotten so out of control and so bad. You know, they try to the oligarchy and these people that own these massive companies, they try to make the argument that the only way they can make profit is by hardcore exploitation of the working class. That's the only way that they can make even a buck. And it's just a total lie. They lied. They confirmed the lie every time that they announce blockbuster record profits. You know, and oh wow, look at us, we're so successful. Yeah, off the backs of us. How about you give us a little slice of that sand? I mean pie. I mean sand. Pie.
look at where things started and where we are now. Looking at wages, our first wage proposal from the companies was a 9% raise from Ford. Now, with members standing up everywhere, 3 weeks into the strike, our top offer is 23% from the same company. That's 2.5 times higher than they started. It's not where we need to be, but it's a hell of a lot further along. Both GM and Stellantis are behind Ford at around 20%, and we think they can catch up and then some. Looking at cost of living allowance, we heard for years that cost of living allowance was a thing of the past and we'd never get it back, that we couldn't go back to a cost of living adjustment formula that protected against the worst of inflation.
Lies.
Suddenly, 3 weeks into our stand-up strike, we've got 2 of the big 3 automakers committed to returning to our 2007 cost of living formula.
Hell yeah, boy.
Ford and Stellantis have agreed to reinstate cost of living allowance, and GM isn't far behind. And we're going to get them there. Looking at temps, let's talk about the temps who have been abused and exploited by the big three for way too long.
No, exactly. So the new strategy is to set up tiers where it's like, okay, well, we'll give all these benefits to the old workers, but new workers basically have to accept slave-like conditions, and we're not going to fire any of the old workers. Yeah, okay. It's a tiered system that intentionally makes it so that there are, like, the new employees that come in are not signing up to the union. It's so disgusting.
This part of the workforce used to be a small group, used only to cover for short periods.
Yeah.
Now, they're an entire subsection of our union.
No. So he's talking about, replacing full-time workers with contractors. We see this happening in every industry. If you work for a company, you see this where it's like, well, let's just hire a bunch of contractors to do it for 6 months and then we fire them all. Let's not hire real employees and give them real benefits.
Who have very few rights, low pay, and no certainty with their future. In 3 weeks, we've won raises for temps to $20 an hour at GM and Stellantis and $21 an hour at Ford.
Hell yeah.
All three have made commitments around converting temps, but there's still a lot of work to be done, both on the wages and the conversions. Still, we're making big strides that will end up changing the lives of thousands of our members. When it comes to wage progression, it's another serious area of progress that we've been working on, and that's looking at the progression it takes to get the full pay. Going into these negotiations, it took 8 years for workers to make it up to top rate. Taking almost a decade to get to the top wage is unacceptable. Since the Great Recession, the length of the progression has reduced the quality of life for tens of thousands of UAW members. We have cut that timeline down to 3 years at Ford, while GM and Stellantis are still behind at 4-year progressions. We need to keep pushing, but it means that all those temps we convert will go from second-class citizen to top rate well within the life of this contract. That's a big deal. Looking at profit sharing, all three companies wanted concessions on profit sharing, and we said, hell no. Not only did we beat back Ford's concessionary profit sharing formula, we made enhancements. We have also successfully beat back the concessionary demands being made by GM and Stellantis. Looking at job security, 2 weeks ago, we let Ford off the hook in our strike expansion because they agreed to some core job security proposals, like the right to strike over plant closures, which our union has never had. Last week, at the last minute,
all right,
Stellantis agreed to the right to honor picket lines and made other important moves on job security. And now, today, because of our power, GM has agreed to lay the foundation for a just transition.
This is what it
Looking
looks
at
like.
Skilled trades.
This is what it looks like. They lie and gaslight and attack in any way that they can. But at the end of the day, their money comes from our labor. If this is a capitalist system and we're selling our labor, there is nothing wrong with contractual negotiations for us to get what we deserve, to get what we're worth. They do the same exact thing every single day, but somehow it's different because it's our labor instead of some other, kind of nebulous concept, right? But no, it's labor. So, it's subject to a bunch of special rules. No. This is very simple. You want my labor? I'm selling it to you. You're going to give me market rate.
All the big three wanted to do was give little or nothing. We're fighting for a $2 an hour tool allowance. Now, thanks to our stand-up strike strategy, Ford has given up a $1.50 tool allowance. Stellantis has given up $1 an hour. But GM is still refusing to budge. Looking at retirement security.
All right, last thing.
Finally, we're still fighting hard to win retirement security
Retirement's
for both
important.
our pre-2007 and post-2007 hires. For those members who still have a pension, we know you've gone far too long without an increase, and we're pushing hard to change it. For those members who never got a pension or post-retirement health care, we're fighting like hell for real retirement security. But the companies are fighting like hell to keep our retirement uncertain and insecure.
That's right.
As people who give their lives to these companies, we never should have lost those rights. This strike is about righting the wrongs of the past.
Yep.
And winning justice for all of our members.
Yeah. And they try to frame it as, oh, you're asking for too much. You're asking for too much. You haven't given us anything for decades. And it's been bare bones for a really long time. And your profits show that. Okay? I mean, hell, does anyone remember when the government had to bail out this industry? It wasn't that long ago. So anyway, there you go, folks. UAW for the mother in win. Girl. Yeah, you wouldn't. You're being Ukrainian. All right. New story. Just wanted to show this. It's not just Nick Fuentes. It's not just Steve Bannon. It is absolutely happening. They are injecting these narratives into the mainstream on Fox, on Newsmax, on OAN. Moderate Fox News over here. No, these narratives exist too. The narratives of, is democracy obsolete? Do we have to start thinking about, elections don't work? How are we going to, change elections so that they work for conservatives? So just another example. Greg Gutfeld says, quote unquote, elections don't work, and quote, society is in peril and chaos because our elections don't matter. I don't know. Our elections seem to matter a whole lot. You seem to be pretty focused on it. While urging for a new American Civil War. In the following tweets, I will transcribe everything he says in this clip because it goes into some very dark territory. So this is Justin Bologna, or whatever the hell his name is. A media reporter for the Daily Beast. So, okay.
But only
people I guess the Daily Beast is no longer right wing. Is that what happened? Last time I checked, the Daily Beast was hardcore right wing. But maybe they're like, the Lincoln Project Republicans that they like Mitch McConnell and they like all the understated, nuanced, right wing, authoritarian, neocon kind of stuff. But they really don't like the way that Trump does it. They don't like that it has to be all under the name of Trump. They want to keep their old status quo.
But only certain people get criminal mulligans. And January 6 protesters, they don't get criminal mulligans. And here's why. They're the oppressor, right? So the oppressed get criminal mulligans.
So criminals who smeared shit on the walls of the House of Congress, that waved the Confederate flag in the halls of Congress, they should be given a break, huh, Greg? Okay, bud.
The people that are complaining, like us, we're actually oppressors and we're losing power. So that's why we're upset. I just got a job at MSNBC. But let's compare the rights between criminals and victims. Okay, the criminals, they get a mulligan. They get to steal up to $900 worth of stuff. They can loiter, sleep, and shoot up in public areas, including playgrounds. They can loot and burn and call it social justice. They can pile up dozens of arrests and never do time. Meanwhile, what about us? Well, we have to change our lives to accommodate risk wherever we go. We have to move out of cities for the sake of the safety of our families and our own safety. That's what's happening. We're being driven out of cities.
No, low tech. It was literally feces smeared on the walls
by the oppressed. So I return to my imperfect analogy from yesterday. We had a war over slavery. We knew slavery was inhumane and immoral, but somehow we couldn't solve slavery peacefully. It was an evil. But one side refused to acknowledge that it was evil because it was too big of an admission for them to make.
Wow, guys. See what I mean? With the MLK stuff, right? So now the emancipation from slavery is just like the Republicans destroying democracies so that they can keep their party. This is daily on Fox. This is what they're absorbing. And this is why they come into my chat with their, oh, wait a minute. Wasn't Trump's economy genius? Wasn't Trump's economy great? And no, I'm putting words in his mouth. You know what I'm saying? But this is how the right installs these ideas, repeats them over and over and over again until they become truth.
Doesn't that feel that way now, that this defiant refusal to reverse this decline argues against the survival of a country? What does that leave you with? It leaves you with, you need to make war to bring peace, because you have a side that cannot change, because then that means an admission that their beliefs have been corrupt all the time. So
Major projection from the conservative. Whoa, dude, they're so aware of it. They're nihilists. These people on TV, they know exactly what they're doing, man.
in a way, you have to force them to surrender.
Or we could make love, not war.
I tried that once.
Or we have an election.
I had to go to a doctor.
Elections. Yeah.
No, elections don't work. We know that. We know they don't work.
They do work.
Look what we have. Look what we have.
but
we had a moderate president, and we have crime exploding everywhere. We had a Democrat president promise that he was going to be moderate, promise that he was going to unite the country, and now we have a terrible education system. We have no border.
How did Nancy do it to her? How did Nancy smear shit on the walls? I'm sorry, what? Is it Nancy Pelosi's fault that right-wingers invaded her office and smeared their feces on her walls? How in the world? How in the world does that work?
We have crime everywhere. Every facet of society is in peril and in chaos because our elections don't matter.
No, elections do matter. We don't need to go to war for it. We go to the election booth and vote the people out who don't do the things.
No, and you see the Fox wing audience, the Fox right-wing audience doesn't agree. They want Greg Gutfeld. They want right now. They want authoritarian control. They want that dictatorship. Where's my strong man? Where is it? This is daily viewing on Fox News. This is daily viewing on Fox News. Okay, and look, if you want to read this whole thread, here it is. It's right here. No problem. Go ahead and have a read. It breaks it down very, more articulate and succinctly than I ever could. Right? It's really happening. I mean, I know I'm a fucking, over and over and over again with this, with example after example after example. But I just, that's what I'm doing today on Friday's stream. Okay, with the U.S. stuff. God, more MSNBC. My show sucks. This show sucks. Low Tech, what is the meaning of the 88 in your name? I'm just about to ban you. So if you want to go ahead and just give us a quick explanation to maybe save your ass here, or I'm going to go ahead and give you a ban there because Dirty Crackhead is correct. Sorry about the MSNBC, but this is, once again, I mean, it's like it's breaking through the corporate media bubble. I see. Okay. Well, good for you, buddy. Excellent. How many times I had your mother? That isn't too bad. And I've seen Low Tech around here quite a bit. It's such a shame that it had to end that way. But thank you for pointing that out, Dirty Crackhead. All right, so there's you have to watch one thing today. Let it be this. It's important. Oh yeah, news story. There's been disagreement on this, but it's time we rethink. If we continue to let the domestic violent radicalization rhetoric go without exposing it when we see it, and we don't speak out against it forcefully, it will be too late. There will be no going back. Nicole Wallace delivers the news of Trump's latest with the exact right pitch. I probably should have had this in the Trump section, so sorry. Saucy Trigger. These kids are so funny, right? Oh, they're so cute with their anti-Semitism that they picked up from adults that are in their orbit. Very frightening things, like I'm not going to let my son hang around on these social media platforms. There's going to be no Discord. There's going to be no Twitch, because it's honestly, it's like within minutes, if I let him loose, within minutes, he could be potentially speaking with a full-blown anti-Semitic Nazi. For every awesome person in my chat, there's like 10 right-wing conservatives pulling their right-wing bullshit. You know what I mean? Progressives do not make up a good chunk of this platform. It is a lot of right-wingers. At least those are the ones that are seeking out politics.
Now there's an attack on migrants that has echoes to white supremacist rhetoric. On this program, we try our hardest not to ever amplify his most dangerous comments. But we're going to play them for you here today, right now, because we believe you should hear the comments from the man himself.
Nobody has any idea where these people are coming from, and we know they come from prisons. We know they come from mental institutions, insane asylums. We know they're terrorists. Nobody.
No, they're not. 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 Ask a farmer in rural America what the average immigrant looks like, and he's not going to say terrorist. He's going to say hardworking man or woman trying to provide for their families. Go to the most extreme right-wing area you can go that utilizes immigrants in their farm. So literally any farm in America, almost. And ask for their description of what an immigrant looks like. Because you know what? They're not going to say some racist bullshit and lose their workforce for it. They're going to be like, yeah, they're hardworking, and they're there to help their family. So go ahead and ask your average farmer what they think of an immigrant.
Nobody has ever seen anything like we're witnessing right now. It is a very sad thing for our country.
Hyperbolic language common
it's
for
poisoning
Trump.
the blood of our country.
It's poisoning the blood of our country.
Poisoning the blood of... That's Nazi shit.
So much to say, right? But what makes these comments even more dangerous is the fact that Trump's rhetoric and his ideas, we know by now what happens to them.
Yeah, DCH.
They seep into the fabric of a large swath of our country, largely people who identify as Republicans. Ideas that used to be unspeakable and unthinkable become acceptable, even party dogma. New York Times reports this, quote, the first time Trump...
Yeah, Kim, I'm going to have to deny that one so that those numbers are banned in my chat. I can't allow that because then they'll start allowing that combination of numbers. So no, I can't do that.
Trump talked privately about shooting missiles into Mexico to take out drug labs. As far as his former aides can recall, was early 2020. And the first time those comments became public was when his second defense secretary, Mark Esper, wrote in his memoir that Trump had raised it with him and asked if the U.S. could make it look as if some other country was responsible. Esper portrayed the idea as ludicrous.
Remember, this is the guy that right-wingers say has the perfect foreign policy. He is the perfect president. The economy was great. He didn't start any wars. He sure as hell tried.
Yet instead of condemning the idea, some Republicans publicly welcomed word that Trump had wanted to use military force against the drug cartels on Mexican soil,
Mexico.
and without the consent of Mexico's government. Trump's notion of a military intervention south of the border has swiftly evolved from an Oval Office fantasy to something approaching Republican Party doctrine. And as we all know all too well, given the events of January.
We just had it in the chat, right? Oh, the perfect economy. This. They didn't. Wasn't it this? Wasn't it this? Yeah, it's that. If that's all you're listening to, if you're listening to bad actors and grifters repeating the same things, falsehoods over and over and over and over again, then yeah, you would believe it. You would believe it. But it is just not true. And don't listen to MSNBC. Do 5 minutes of fucking Googling and get back to me. And tell me how much of a success Trump's economy was and his fucking foreign policy. God, what a joke.
January 6th, when a mob of Trump supporters believing Trump's lies about the U.S. election results stormed the Capitol, the impact of Trump's rhetoric is easily seen on the streets. This is from Laura Barron Lopez, a White House correspondent for PBS, who told her viewers last night, quote, I checked with a historian, Ruth Ben-Gayat, and she said that language that he's using echoes language used in Nazi propaganda by Adolf Hitler when Adolf Hitler actually said that Jewish blood poisoning of Germany.
I mean, to be frank, I don't know how much Donald Trump is a student of history or if he even reads books and what's on his nightstand.
Yeah, slam dunkins. Perfect. Yeah, thank you for pointing that out. Totally slam dunking.
I do know, as the reporter said last night on PBS NewsHour, that the language that he used in that interview is the same or intended to evoke the kind of language that's been used by many who hold vicious anti-immigrant, racist, anti-Semitic views like Hitler. And I'm sure other nativist world leaders. And the way that phrase was inserted into this,
Shut up,
this sort of
DCH.
crazy claims he was making that are totally untrue, leads me to believe that someone gave him that line. And we have seen over the years how Trump uses racist, hateful, despicable language and how it evokes violence. Think about 2019 and the claims about an invasion from Mexico that led a man to go to the Walmart in El Paso and murder dozens of people because they appeared to be from Mexico. Or think about his evocation, the Great Replacement Theory, that led a man in 2018 in October to the Tree of Life Synagogue in Pittsburgh and murdered Jewish people while they were worshiping.
Yeah.
Violent rhetoric leads to violent actions.
And we don't have any proof of what Mary Trump says about Trump's reading habits, but she has famously said that the only books Trump reads are like Mein Kampf and like Hitler books and stuff like that. I don't know how true that is. I'm going to need to see more proof, but I mean, I don't know. Do you think the blood, the blood stuff, it's so close to blood and soil. It's so close.
And so this isn't dangerous.
Is it intentional?
It's explosive.
I think I've been one who for some period have agreed about not
Anti-Semites
elevating
are
his comments.
all over.
But I think what has happened is two things.
Yeah, you get
that means
banned. Yeah,
there still are
bye-bye.
plenty of people listening to them. And without speaking out against it forcefully, and you have and we have on the show, but it is not headline news every day. And without speaking out forcefully, it has become normalized.
See, Nazis don't deserve free speech. The moment you give a Nazi anti-Semite free speech, they weaponize it and start using it to do like what we see here. That's the Nazi version of free speech, is my right to subjugate you, to destroy you. That's free speech to them.
And the rest of us are starting to become immune. I think we need to be playing his voice, saying the things, the violent things, the same kind of things that people like Duterte said when he ran for election in the Philippines. Somebody who went on to kill tens and thousands of his people, right? I think we need to actually start calling it what it is.
I hope if you disagreed, you would still be telling me right now. I mean, I'm glad you agree, but I hope when there's a day that you disagree.
Because
that's good to
I've
hear.
flipped on this.
Yeah.
And the other thing is, it's not just about marginalized communities who clearly have been impacted. Everyone's impacted. I just came back from several days in Santa Fe with Republican leaders in Maricopa County, the county board of supervisor, the clerk's deputy there, right? Republicans are being.
I think Swims with Whales is saying that this rhetoric is, the violence is the eventual logical conclusion of this rhetoric.
Attacked. Republicans are being threatened. But Republicans have had violence against them. Democrats have had violence against them. White people, right? We talk about marginalized, and marginalized have had it worse than anybody, that's for sure. But this isn't something that, white people can sit there and say that's somebody else's problem. It is every American's problem because
Good. I hope they know where they can come to be told to suck it. This is the home we're telling Nazis to suck it.
It's coming after everyone who doesn't align with Trump. Anyone who's in law enforcement, white, black, Latino, doesn't matter. Anyone, frankly, who's in the military, look at General Milley. And what's really scary, this morning I did an interview with On Point for NPR, and they played vignettes, tapes of people in Iowa saying, yes, Milley should already be in front of a firing squad.
Yeah. No, the language, it's real. That's what the constituents want. They want televised public executions of their political enemies. And they say that's what they want.
Now there's an attack on migrants.
They say that's what they want, but I believe once they get, wow, this guy is all over kick, man. Jeez, OP's third account. All right, you keep coming, man. I'll keep banning you, no problem. Every time I do this, he has to log out, log in with a new account. That's how the Nazis were. Anyone who doesn't align with them are I mean, that's why it's not communism. It's not even anarchism. Fascism is a political aesthetic that can be glommed onto almost any system. And it is separate. If you're having an argument about fascism, you're having an argument about hurting people. You can have an argument about communism where the argument isn't, yeah, we need to kill X amount of people to achieve what we want. You can't have that argument with a fascist because it's always about the other. It's always about eliminating our enemies and seeking a purity. So fascism doesn't deserve free speech because it's not a legitimate form of government. It is an assault on humanity. Oh, speaking of assaults on humanity, it's everyone's favorite time of the day. Hey-oh! It's everyone's favorite segment, the mass shooting update. Hey-oh! Let's see how many people died in America. 608 U.S. mass shootings in 2023, 5,743 mass shootings since 2013, and 2 whole days since we've had a mass shooting. Thank you so much, good guys with guns, protecting America from rampant, wanton violence. Over there in Holyoke, Massachusetts, 1 dead and 4 injured, juvenile victim. Baby died after being delivered when mother was wounded by stray bullet. Gunman Alejandro Ramos, 22. Jonulius Sanchez, 30. Well, let's hope those guns were purchased legally. Over there in St. Paul, Minnesota, 1 dead and 3 injured, juvenile victims. 14-year-old killed, 13 and 15-year-old girls among 3 wounded teenage females. Gunman unknown. It's good to point out that less than 50% of murders are solved in America, so keep running. Los Angeles, California, 1 dead and 4 injured, gunman unknown. Well, I'm sure gang-related something, right? More guns. Over there in Philadelphia, PA, 1 dead and 4 injured, domestic victims. We have one of these almost every single time, folks. Domestic victims. Father and son argued. Father shot uncle, then shot 3 responding police officers. Suspect Michael Wang, fatally shot by police. There you go, good guys with guns. Thank you so much. I'm sure that father who shot his uncle and then had a full-blown shootout with the police purchased that weapon legally. Over there in Baltimore, Maryland, 0 dead and 5 injured, gunmen unknown. And there you go, folks. That is your mass shooting update for today. Only in the United States does going to the grocery store, going to school, going to church, going to your own home could result in extreme gun violence. Thank you so much, gun anarchists, for creating a system in America that is wildly untenable and sure to result in chaos. All right, there you go, folks. That is my U.S. update. We're going to dip into our Ukraine news, just a quick Ukraine update, and then we're going to be calling it a day. So thank you so much to my 116 YouTube subscribers. Why am I wasting my time posting these videos? I'll never know. Thank you so much.